Right. If you have a polygon object and you want to be sure that there's nothing screwy in it, you have to first select it, go down to Mesh, Commands, and Optimize it. That will get rid of all the double edges, extra points. It will get rid of everything. Um, Next, I'm lining this up as well as I can, more or less looking dead center, and I'm going to BPUV edit. I don't need a texture right now, I don't need any material because I don't have anything to look at, and I'm just going to zoom out. These are all my UVs, they're all maximized, and I'm just going to select UV polygons, and I'm just going to do it like this, and you can see that it all goes down from 0, 0 to 1, 1. All of them, each of them. Now I'm just going to hit frontal, and with the E button I can move them out of my UV map. I'm going to move them back, but right now I don't want them to be in the way. Now the other part is trickier because it's so small. I'm just going to zoom in a tad like this, and I'm going to select again, and I'm going to select these. This is where I don't want this. See, that's why it's tricky. I'm just hitting the control key or keeping down the control key, just checking if I got everything right, and move it straight to the camera. And I'll do exactly the same thing. Hit frontal, and you got this tiny, whoops, you got this tiny little UV unwrap. I'm just going to move it up here. Right, so all that we have left now is these UVs, and I'm just going to use the square projection or the square selection tool, and I'm going to select all these, just checking because I don't need to use any of the projection tools, so it doesn't matter how I rotate it. Looks good. And I already know that the center line is right down the middle on the back of the leg, or the inside of the leg. So what I'm going to do is zoom in and make this slightly bigger. How am I going to do this? Right here. I can use the arrows and zoom in so that I can maximize these. It's easier with selecting single UVs. So I'm going to first select these. These are at the bottom. These need to be compressed, scaled down. Now, the only thing you need to remember is when you use the scale tool is because this is the center line, I just need to scale them down like this. Now I'm going to make it sort of like a pyramid, so select slices, and I can just use the space bar to switch between the scale tool and the selection tool, and I'm just going to scale them down like that. I'll try to do this fairly quickly because it's kind of a tedious job, but everything that has to do with UV unwrapping is tedious. It's not a fun job, it's just technical, and it just has to be right. Well, you catch the drift of what you need to do, line it up. And the smallest polygons at the bottom take up the smallest amount of space on the texture map. Scale tool, like this, go back. Well, once you have a polygon object that is smaller poly count, then of course this is going to be a lot easier. I'm just going to scale these up like this. Zoom out a little bit. Alright, final one, finally. Like this, and we're done. Now, there's a little in it. Let's see if I can take that out without disrupting too many things. I need to use the scale tool, right? Alright, something like this. It's good enough. Good enough. For now. If I go back to the UV polygon, I get the old selection back, so I can just scale it down completely like this, and that would be my UV unwrap. I can put it wherever I want, can rotate it 90 degrees or 180 or whatever, and I can select these and put them with the E button, put them in the texture as well, and this is just fine. This'll do. Right, so there you have it. It's a simple NURBS object converted into polygons. Already have a lot of the UVs in the correct position, adjust them, and now basically you can paint over, make hand painted textures and paint over these UVs, and this is where the seam will be.